Cage Warriors 136, Melan versus Duncan, full card prediction. We got the Jate Melan 8 wins and 0 losses, taking on the undefeated prospect Christian Leroy Duncan at 5 wins and 0 losses. We got a couple other prospects and a lot of other undefeated guys on the card. We got Geraldo Finney and Aaron Abbey in the flyweight division, Adam Cullen and El Haji the Indiaye in the lightweight division, 2 undefeated fighters. We got Reese Mcewen and Sam Spencer at bantamweight, Luke Riley and Jack Eglin at, I would assume, the bantamweight division, but I don't really know what 137 is. We got Stanton and Alexis Fontes in the middleweight division, Gianderson Castro and Alexi Montykivi in the 165-pound division, Liam McCoy and Ben Reese at featherweight, Manny Akpan and Connor Hitchens at 148, Dylan Hasan and Raimi son of Bruno in the flyweight division, Don Dugis and Josh Reed at bantamweight, John Quay Higgins and Kieran Lister at lightweight, Ricky Moore and Chasen Blair at 175, and Piotr Chmielewski and Michael Tsushamu in the middleweight division. I already know I got a few of those names incorrectly, but yeah, we're going to start at the beginning of the card down here in the Cage Warriors middleweight division. Piotr Chmielewski and Michael Tsushamu in the middleweight division. Michael Tsushamu is going to be at -150 on the betting odds. He is a slight favorite, but it is very close on those Tapology predictions. He was undefeated coming in his amateur and MMA career, getting a lot of finishes. First round knockout win, first round knockout win, first round knockout win, and then a second round submission win against Samir Kadi. He was doing, it was a crazy fight early on, and then he did get finished in the second round. Now he's fighting a little bit more of a veteran, Piotr Chmielewski, 5 wins and 1 loss right there. He's beaten and he's fought a lot of solid guys. On his amateur MMA record, knockout win, submission win, knockout win there, knockout win, submission, and a knockout win. And they're not scrubs. They're not just like really garbage fighters on the amateur MMA organizations that he's fighting in. He beat Luke Trainer by submission. This dude is 5-0, undefeated over there in Bellator, about to compete on the prelims in Bellator 281 card. That is a very legit guy, and that is the only loss to Piotr Chmielewski by a first round armbar. These submission skills are very legit. Toe hold submission win, ankle lock submission win, and a few more knockout wins there. Yeah, he did get submitted the last time around, and then he got knocked out after that. I do believe Michael should have had the better striking here. Should be the better fighter early on in the fight, but after that first round, I think if the fight does hit the mat, which it probably will, I think Piotr is gonna submit him. I think his submission skills are that good that if he's able to submit a guy like Luke Trainer, much better wrestler, grappler, striker, just a much more overall better fighter than Michael Tsushamu, I think he should go out there and be able to submit him in this fight. It's close. Either Michael goes out there, just steamrolls Piotr in the first round, knocks him out, TKOs him, or Piotr survives and he submits him later on in the fight. Really good fight in the middleweight division. I got Piotr winning that fight. Ricky Moore and Chasen Blair at catchweight, 175 pounds. Now, weird fight. You can't really expect me to make a super in-depth prediction for one of these type of fights. There's not really much to go off of. Ricky Moore, 0-0 as a pro. As an amateur, has not fought since 2007. Chasen Blair, 0-0 as a pro and as an amateur, but you see right there, wrestling for North Carolina and doing very good over there at Chapel Hill. Very solid wrestler. That's all you really need to know for this guy here. So again, it's not one you're going to be betting on or anything like that. I don't even think there are any betting odds for that fight because it's so many unknowns for this one. How good is the striking of Chasen Blair? What has Ricky Moore been doing in the 4-year layoff? I have no idea. So it's a weird fight. You can't really trust my prediction or the betting odds or anything like that. I'm going to go with the wrestler, Chasen Blair. They're probably trying to push him because he does have a solid wrestling background. So I'm going to go decision win for Chasen Blair right there. Wouldn't be surprised for a finish, though. Yana Kwai Higgins and Kieran Lister in the lightweight division. This is going to be one of my more confident picks of the card. I mean, you can't be like 100% super confident on a guy that's coming off 2 losses and then won a decision draw right there. I'm not really too sure what happened, but you can't really be too confident with this type of guy coming off that loss and then coming up another loss by knockout. But if you look at the guys he's losing to, legit guys. I mean, the first one being Mike Figlak. There is zero shame whatsoever losing to a guy like Mike Figlak, a fighter I honestly think should probably fight in the UFC in the next few years. He's a solid guy. The other loss being Joe McLaughlin. It was a first round knockout, but if you look what's in his hands, it is a belt. So again, another fight right there against a guy that's only lost to Mason Jones. Just be Aggie Sardari. Those are the guys that Sierra is losing to. Champions, and then another one, an undefeated prospect, probably a future champion. He's very good everywhere. I would say he's probably going to want the fight to stay on the feet, outstrike Yana Higgins for 3 rounds, and maybe get a finish sometime in between there. But it's a tough one. Jan hasn't really fought in quite a while. I think his last fight, it was 2018. It's been a while since the man has fought, and when he did fight, most of the losses were coming by submission, and then 2 of them did come by knockout. So I'm going to go finish. I can see possibly the fight going all the way, but I think Kieran Lister, coming off those losses, getting such a step down in competition in Yan Kwai Higgins, he's going to be looking for that spectacular finish, and I'm going to go knockout win. Kieran Lister by knockout in the first or second rounds. Junice and Josh Reed in the bantamweight division. I already know I butchered Don Dewey. I still cannot get that last name. It's a really tough one for me for some reason, but Don, 7 wins, 1 losses, right there, only losing to Shamila Banyukayev, and also beating Geraldo Fanny, who's, I believe, in the co-main event on the card, if they are calling it that. Yeah, they're not calling it the co-main, but it is the second to last fight. He's very solid, 7 wins, 1 loss. He's got a solid wrestling and grappling game, a lot of finishes on the ground, I believe. About half of the wins by submission, half of them by TKO. 4 submission wins and 2 knockout wins. If he's going to win, I would probably say he needs to grapple and wrestle and look for the finish. Because Josh Reed also has solid wrestling, grappling, submission win, knockout win, bulldog choke, heel hook. He's also got a very legit submission game on his record, only losing to solid guys. Liam Gittins right there, Dylan Hasan, who's also on the card, and then Nathaniel Wood. Very game opponents right there. So I think the grappling is going to be very 50-50 here. I can see this fight being pretty 50-50 overall, but the fact that Josh Reed is going to be the better striker, and the fact that the grappling is going to be very close, I think the wrestling, the grappling, the takedowns, the jiu-jitsu, it's gonna come to it. It's gonna affect the fight a little bit. There will be a few takedowns, a little bit of grappling mixed in here and there. But overall, I see this mainly being a striking fight, and I do expect to finish. I think Josh Reed is gonna defend a lot of the takedowns of Don Dujis, and I think he's gonna mix in that big old shot on the feet. He does have that knockout win a year ago against Brian Creighton with the knee and then a little bit of punches. I think in the later rounds, 2nd or 3rd round, he gets Don Dujis back to the cage and just starts hammering with those knees, with the elbows, uppercuts, things like that. And I think he actually knocks out Don Dujis in the fight. I could be wrong, could go all the way to a decision, would not be surprised by any means. But it's a close fight. If Don can grind that wrestling and grappling, he could actually edge out the win. But I'm going to go Josh Reed defending the takedowns and striking for a decision. Dylan Hasan and Rami-san Bruno in the flyweight division. Dylan Hasan, he's beating some really solid guys. He's a wrestler, getting the TKO whenever Samoan Patrici, TKO win. He's just taking his opponent down and ground and pounding them. He's not really going for the submission, really. Maybe if they literally just give him the back, maybe he'll go for the submission at that case, but he's more of the guy looking to get the takedown, ground and pound you, and grind for that decision, or maybe get that ground and pound TKO. Coming off a win over Scott Malone and a win over Josh Reed right there, which are very solid wins to have inside of Cage Warriors. Now he's fighting a Rami-san Bruno, coming off a split decision loss 2.5 years ago. That was a while ago. The one before that was 3 years ago against fighters that are much worse than Dylan Hasan right there. I think Dylan should go out there, take down Reese and Bruno over and over throughout the fight, and just grind out another decision. The reason I'm not going to say it's like a lock, it's 100%, is because there is that submission threat for Reese and Bruno, although a lot of the submissions weren't really against the best competition. 4 submissions, 8 decisions right there. He could definitely pull out that submission at any point in the fight. But again, 1-6 was his only armbar submission win recently. That was about it. I don't think he gets the submission. I think he kind of stays in guard on Dylan Hasan, and Dylan just rides out the decision right there. Manny Akpan and Connor Hitchens in, I guess you can say, the featherweight division at 148 pounds. It's going to be a solid fight. It is short notice. Connor Hitchens is coming in 2 days, 3 days notice. I'm not exactly sure how many days he had to prepare for the fight, but originally it was Tom Mearns versus Manny Akpan, 50-50. I mean, that one honestly could have gone either way, if I'm being quite honest with you. I don't know who I would have gone. It's just that close of a fight. But now I would say this is a little bit more favorable for Manny. First off, Connor Hitchens is coming in on short notice. Second off, Connor Hitchens is coming off a knockout loss, has not fought in a year and a half. There's a lot of things going for Manny Akpan in the fight, but you never know. Connor Hitchens is a wrestler, grappler type of guy, usually looking to get the fight down and look for the submission win, and then a few ground and pound TKO wins with another submission win right there. So it's very likely he could go out there, take the fight down, and just grind out a decision, or maybe even submit Manny Akpan right here. But Manny, I believe he's going to be a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, just a bigger opponent than Connor Hitchens. Connor is going to have a little bit of a rough weight cut here coming in on short notice. He is coming off that knockout loss. He has not fought in a year and a half. There's a lot of things going for Manny Akpan right here. So I'm going to go Manny Akpan winning the fight. I'll go with decision. Connor Hitchens is a tough guy. He did get knocked out a year and a half ago, but I'm assuming his striking has improved enough for him not to get knocked out here. So, yeah, I know he gets a lot of finishes. I know Manny Akpan has 66% of his wins coming by finish, but I'm going to go decision for Manny Akpan right there. Ben Reese and Liam Molly in the featherweight division. Liam Molly with 2 wins and 2 losses, losing to solid guys. The first one being Manny Akpan. If you guys remember the name, he's on early on in the card. And then Ryan Shelley, a very, very legit prospect right there. He's a very, very solid guy right there. So, yeah, Manny Akpan, a very solid striker. Decent takedown defense. That's one guy that beat him. The other one being I believe he fought yesterday on the Cage Warriors 135 card. But those are the only 2 losses. Triangle choke and then a rear naked choke submission. 2 submission losses. I don't think Ben Reese is going to go out there and submit him. He's got 3 wins, 4 losses. He's got 2 armbar wins on his record over Gavin Kelly and then Rory Evans right there, but those were back in 2017 and in 2013. He has not fought in 20 years, in 3 years since that Paul Reed win right there. I don't think he's going to go out there and take down Liam Molly in the fight. I don't think he's going to wrestle, grapple, get a submission, or anything like that. I know Liam Molly has been improving the wrestling and grappling, because that's the way he's losing, is getting submitted in his fight. So I know in the gym, training with his coaches, they're just drilling the grappling and wrestling sequences. So I'm assuming the fight will stay on the feet. I think this one will stay on the feet for the first round, and then we will see a second round, a knockout win for Liam Molly right there. Solid fight in the featherweight division. G. Anderson Castro and Alexi Montykivi in the catchweight division of 165 pounds. G. Anderson Castro, 6 wins and 5 losses. Jiu-Jitsu guy, that's what he's saying, is Nordes Jiu-Jitsu. There's not a lot of film that I did find for G. Anderson Castro, but from what I know, he probably needs the fight to go to the ground. I don't think he's going to outstrike a guy like Alexi Montykivi. Just, there's no way that's going to happen, in my opinion. But he can. I mean, it's possible. He did lose to some solid guys. Alvidias being there by knockout. Pedro Carvalho by armbar submission win right there as well. Then Chang Sin Fu, another solid guy. So he's losing to pretty legit, guys. He's fighting yet another pretty legit guy in Montykivi, who's got very legit power, really solid striking, and only loses to Beast. Jack Grant right there by first round knockout. Mason Jones by a decision. Mason Jones did not finish him. That is insane. And then Reese McKee by third round knockout. UFC fighter, and then maybe a future UFC fighter right there. You never do know, because I believe he's fighting in Bellator right now. So yeah, he might fight in the UFC later on in his career. But yeah, those are the guys he's losing to. That's very, very legit names on the list of losses for him. But he's got 6 knockout wins. Did knock out Serena Bach by first round knockout. Serena Bach, 15 wins, 1 loss. That only loss coming to Montykivi. This man has beaten guys like Paddy Pimple, like Morgan Charrier, like Bobby Lee, like Terry Brazier, like so many guys on the career. Alex Rodriguez as well. And then Alexi goes out there and knocks him out. This man has power. He's going to go out there and he's going to outstrike in this fight against Castro. And he's going to knock him out in the first or second rounds. Alexis Fontes and Mick Stanton in the middleweight division. I'm going to say it right now. Pretty 50-50 fight, if you ask me. Minus 110. It is such a close fight. Mick Stanton is a dog. He just keeps on coming forward. I mean, he has been finished before, but I don't think... Yeah, he's been knocked out one time. That was quite a while ago, but he's not... I don't think he's going to get knocked out here. He's not a guy that tends to get TKO'd or anything like that, and he hasn't been in the past, like, 5-6 years, but he's a veteran. He's got a lot of wins over some solid guys, losing to some decent veterans as well, like Madars Flamina, Aaron Khalid, and then James Webb inside of Cage Warriors, coming off a TKO win over George Smith. But for this fight against Alexis Fontes, I do think that the way and the path to victory for Mick Stanton is going to be to keep the fight on the feet. Alexis Fontes, he's got a little bit of not the best striking. Did get knocked out in his last fight against Mustafa Rashid Nada back in 2019, but that was in 2019. That was about, 2.5 years ago in that fight. Before that, getting a lot of submission wins. I do believe for this fight that Alexis Fontes is going to have the better wrestling, is going to have the better grappling game, and should be able to go out there and land a few takedowns here and there in the fight. And for the fact that he's been gone from MMA for the past 2.5 years, I don't think we're going to see the same Alexis Fontes when it comes to the striking, as early on back in 2019 and 2018, the striking wasn't really that good. And I'm assuming because of that being the main limiting factor to him getting wins as a professional MMA fighter, I know that's the main thing he's been training in the past 2.5 years that he's not had an MMA fight. So I'm assuming we're going to see a lot more improvements when it comes to the striking of Alexis Fontes. I don't think Mick Stanton is going to completely destroy Alexis Fontes on the feet. And then the takedowns mixed in for Alexis Fontes, I think we'll slightly get him a decision win here. It's a very, very close one in the middleweight division. Veteran versus newcomer from France. I'm going to go Alexis Fontes. Very, very slightly by a decision. Luke Riley and Jack Eglin in the catchweight division. Very, very close. The betting odds on Tapology have it at minus 110 and then a minus 110. On best fight odds, the odds are very, very close as well. Plus 105 and then minus 135. So you guys can already tell it is a very, very close fight. Jack Eglin, legit guy. 2 wins and 0 losses, getting submission win and a ground and pound TKO win. As an amateur, beating some solid guys and losing to some very, very solid guy. Mohamed Mukayev, who's in the UFC right now. Nathan Fletcher, very solid opponent. And then Nick Bagley. So, got a 1 knockout win, 1 submission win. As an amateur, he's got 2 knockout wins and 1 submission win. If Jack Eglin is going to win the fight, it's going to be mainly wrestling, mainly grappling, taking the fight down over and over and over again, and then grinding out a decision, or maybe even submitting Luke Riley into this fight. But it's a 50-50 fight for a reason. Honestly, could go either way, but it's close, man. I mean, on any given day, like today it could go Luke Riley, tomorrow it could honestly go to Jack Eglin in the fight. It's very, very close, but I'm gonna go TKO win for Luke Riley. I know he's expecting grappling. I know he's expecting the wrestling game of Jack Eglin here, so I know he's been training for the wrestling, for the grappling the whole entire time here, so I definitely expect him the fight to stay on the feet for most of the fight. There will be times where Jack Eglin will land the takedown or two in this fight, but it's very, very close. I'm going to go Luke Riley very, very slightly to get the knockout in the second round there. Very, very 50-50 fights in the catchweight division of 137 pounds. Reese Mcewen and Sam Spencer in the bantamweight division. Sam Spencer, the 2-1 underdog, but he is a dog. I'm never going to count out a guy like Sam Spencer because he could be losing the fight for like the full 3 rounds, 1 minute left, and he could just start hammering, coming forward, and just throwing shots, and he can knock you out. You never know with this type of guy. He's coming off a first-round knockout win over undefeated Ryan Hold'em, losing to James McLaren by second-round submission, and then Paul McBain by first-round doctor stoppage. Very solid striking, but the wrestling and grappling is a little bit iffy. I don't necessarily think he's going to go out there and destroy Reese Mcewen on the feet. Is not going to have that big of an advantage in the striking there, and I think the grappling and wrestling advantage that Reese Mcewen is going to have in the fight is going to be enough to be able to go out there, take the fight down, and get the submission. I mean, he's beaten some solid guys on the amateur MMA organizations that he's faced in, but now he's in the professional MMA region. He did lose to Luke Westwood, who's a very legit guy. Definitely should be fighting in Cage Warriors. I'm not too sure why he's not, but he's got the more experience, he's got the better grappling, he's got the better wrestling. He's just... You never know. He's so unpredictable. Sam Spencer is such an unpredictable fighter. It's close. It could go either way here. I'm going to lean slightly towards Reese Mcewen to get a submission in the first or second rounds. El Hadji Ndiaye and then Adam Cullen in the lightweight division. I already know I got the name wrong. Let's try one more time. El Hadji Ndiaye. I don't know if I got that right. Correct me down in the comment section below. But this one is in the lightweight division. Very, very big favorite, even though they are both undefeated fighters here at the lightweight division. And again, I'm going to be honest with you. I like to be honest with a lot of my predictions that I do make. I don't really know too much about Hadji. I mean, he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. The fights that he did have 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I haven't really been able to find them. I've been researching even the nickname Gande. I looked that up on YouTube and on Google. I've been looking up how he's been doing in his MMA career, and I can't really find the most film. I found 1 or 2 fights. But again, it was 2.5 years ago. You can never be too confident or have too clear of a perception of a fighter when the last time they fought was 2.5 years ago, and when you're only getting a brief summary of their whole entire fighting style. So it's a weird fight there. I'm not going to be super confident on Adam Cullen to win. I'm still going to go Adam Cullen to win just because I've been very, very impressed of his last few fights, getting 3 submission wins all in the very first round. Granted, the first 2 weren't really against the best guys, but Mikhail Byram, solid win there. Then as an amateur, getting some solid wins as well, only losing by submission. I don't think El Hadji in the Daye is going to be one of those guys that's going to get a submission on bottom here, so I do believe Adam Cullen should go out there, take the fight down, and just ground and pound, and eventually should grab the neck of El Hadji in the Daye and submit him in the first or second rounds. Aaron Abbey and Geraldo Finney in the flyweight division. Decent fight here. I mean, Geraldo Finney is going to be, I would say, a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier. You can never be too sure with what Tapology puts for the height and reach. But yeah, 89% are going Finney for good reason. The man has some devastating power in his hands. He's got very, very good striking. And it's not just the hands. I mean, you see the last 2 wins there. Flying knee in the second round with literally only, 27 seconds left, and then another knee knockout win over Liam Gittins with 5 seconds left. you can never be too confident on this guy. You can be winning the whole entire round, and then boom, you get slapped across the face with an elbow, a flying knee, whatever the case may be. His only loss is Don Dujis, who is also on the card, and then Jack Cartwright, who's a very, very legit prospect as well. Aaron Abbey, I mean, his main way of winning would be to get a submission here, but the way he does get his submissions aren't the way you're going to submit a guy like Geraldo Finney. Arm triangle choke right there. Guillotine, maybe, possibly, but, and then the armbar would be one way to win the fight, but he's not really a guy that's going out there to take you down over and over and over and grind out a decision. Yeah, I would say Aaron Abbey overall does have the better wrestling, does have the better grappling, but it's not going to really be by that much. I don't see him grinding out Geraldo Finney. I see this fight mainly being a striking battle between Aaron Abbey and Geraldo Finney, and you already know who I'm going to favor. In that case, I mean, Aaron Abbey versus Geraldo Finney. Of course, who's going to have the better striking? Come on, guys. It's going to be Geraldo Finney, the guy is just absolutely amazing on the feet, but I don't really know if he's going to get the finish here. He has not been knocked out since 2014, and that was a while ago. That was, what, 8 years ago, 9 years ago? It's tough. So I'm going to go Geraldo Finney for sure to win the fight. I think he wins the fight either by a decision or by a second round knockout. But I don't know. It's 50-50. I'm just going to go by that. Decision or second round knockout for Geraldo Finney in the flyweight division. DeJounte Melan and Christian Leroy Duncan in the middleweight division. Christian Leroy Duncan is better everywhere. I'm going to say that right now. He is 3 inches taller than DeJounte Melan. I'm assuming he's also going to be lengthier than DeJounte Melan. He's a much better striker than DeJounte Melan. That is for sure. He's a lot faster. Powerful? I don't know. I don't know if you'll have the advantage there. I mean, I would say slightly, as he did knock out Will Curry in their fight, which is a solid win, as well as the spinning back kick on Lucas Marcinkowski, and then the knockout on Kyle McLaren. So I wouldn't say either guy really has a crazy power for the middleweight division, but DeJounte Melan really doesn't really have any power. I mean, maybe on the ground with the ground and pound, he can pull out a little bit of power, but overall, in terms of striking, Leroy Duncan is going to absolutely destroy him. He's much better on the feet. He hits a lot harder. He's a lot faster, much more elusive, much more technical striking. And then the wrestling and grappling, yeah, there's a chance that DeJounte Melan could go out there, land a few takedowns, and try to grind out a decision here, maybe even get a submission or something like that. It's possible, but DeJounte Melan, I already know. UFC, Dana White's Contender Series, I don't know, maybe even Bellator is looking for him. I really do not know at this point, but he hasn't got a finish in his last 3 fights against guys that are much worse than Christian Leroy Duncan, which makes me believe that he's probably not going to land too many takedowns here. It's very hard to land takedowns on guys that are really solid strikers like Christian Leroy Duncan and like Christian that have very solid takedown defense as well. So I don't think DeJounte is going to be landing too many takedowns here. I think the fight stays on the feet for the first round, and then in the second round, could go to the third round, but I'm going to go with the second round for Christian Leroy Duncan, and landing a crisp shot right down the middle, knocking him out with punches in the second round. He's got 2 knockouts right at the beginning of the second round. I'm going to go one more in the second round right there. Christian Leroy Duncan by knockout in the second rounds. And that is my full card prediction for Cage Warriors 136. Melan versus Duncan. I have Christian Leroy Duncan winning, Geraldo Finney winning, Adam Cullen winning, Reese Mcewen winning slightly, Luke Riley winning slightly, Alexis Fontes winning slightly, Alexi Montykivi winning, Leah Molly winning, Manny Akpan winning, Dylan Hasan winning that fight right there. Let's refresh because it's covering up all of the names. For some reason, I got Josh Reed winning very slightly, Kieran Lister winning, Chase and Blair winning, and then Yoder Shimialecki winning that fight. there's some solid fights here. There's some very, very solid fights for Cage Warriors 136. Cannot wait for the card. It's going to happen tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we got about 13 hours till the fight does happen. I cannot wait for Cage Warriors 136. Put your predictions down below in the comment section. Who do you guys think wins the main event? Who do you guys think is going to get the fight of the night? I know they're not going to actually do a fight of the night here, but what fight do you think is going to be the best fight on this card? Cage Warriors 136. I cannot wait. Christian Leroy Duncan is a future prospect here in Cage Warriors and potentially in the UFC. I think he's a guy that's probably going to be fighting in the UFC or on Dana White's Contender Series pretty soon, if I'm being quite honest with you. And if you want to see all of the bets that we will be making, we just actually put out our bets right before this live stream and this video. If you want to see those ones, press the sign up button at the last 10 seconds of any one of my videos. For UFC, Bellator, and PFL bets, that is only $3 a month or 10 cents a day. For all of my bets, including UFC, Bellator, PFL, Cage Warriors, XMMA, LFA, literally any MMA organization, boxing, soccer, basketball, tennis, literally any MMA bet that I will be making, any sports bet that I will be making, that one is $9.99. So if you want to become a channel member for $3.99 for UFC, Bellator, and PFL, you can do so, and then $9.99 for every single MMA bet. Thank you guys for watching the video. I will see you tomorrow with some more predictions, but that is going to be an amazing card. I can't wait. Again, I'll recap it one more time. Leroy Duncan, Geraldo Finney, Adam Cullen, Reese, Mcewen, Luke Riley, Alexis Fontes, Alexi Montykivi winning that fight. I also have Liam Molly winning. I have Manny Akpan, Dylan Hasan, Josh Reed. I don't know why he keeps putting these ads on here for some reason. Piotr Shimialecki, Chase, and Blair, and then a key here and listen. Those are the predictions. Like, subscribe, notifications, and all, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's